Hi everyone, thanks for being here. As I've previously concluded in other videos, there is something to this training of children in warfare. As also stated, this was a common practice among the Zulu tribe in Africa, and that of the Scouts founder, Robert Baden-Powell, who was a highly decorated Freemason involved in many orders over in the United Kingdom and in South Africa. He went to great lengths to study this indigenous practice, to implement what he gleaned from his studies onto future European and American children in the form of this order called Scouts. We sort of gleaned or glanced over the contents of Indian Scout talks that clearly demonstrated the teaching or various practices of children under the age of 18, and how similar these teachings are with those in occult societies. So just perusing through my notes here, just for a second, let's look at some other interesting finds related to this topic, like this reading list for Boy Scouts. So let's go through this. We already kind of went over this one, which is the Indian Scout Talks. This reading list for Boy Scouts, let me click on it, hang on. Okay, so this reading list for the Boy Scouts of America. Sorry, give me just 1 second here. All right. So the reading list for the Boy Scouts of America, let's take a look. Okay, so on the reading list is Animals and Their Tracks. As you can see, here are the different books, like, for instance, Animal Heroes. And as you can see, this is by Ernest Thompson, dated 1905. So a lot of these books are from the early 1900s. Some of these books are authored by the same person, like Ernest Thompson. In other words, he wrote more than one of these books that are listed here. So they're probably worth taking a look at. As you can see here, let's see, Four-Footed Americans and Their Kin, Habitats of Animals. Here's an interesting topic. Haunters of the Silences. I bet that's an interesting read. That's from 1907. There's House in the Water, Kindred of the Wild. It kind of goes on. Lives of the Hunted, also by Ernest Thompson. So perhaps we need to look at some of his work. Monarch, The Big Bear of Talek. That looks interesting. Red Fox, School of the Woods, Shaggy Coat. What an interesting topic. Or should I say, interesting title. Let's see. We're still under tracking and track finding by BP Scout is what I think that's supposed to say. But once again, 1910, 1909, all of this is the early 1900s. Trapper Jim, Watchers of the Trails, Ways of the Wood Folk. Okay, so astronomy is in the list. Earth and Sky, Every Child Should Know. Also dated 1910. Easy Guide to the Constellations with a miniature atlas of the stars. Friendly Stars, How to Identify the Stars. Round the Year with the Stars. Why astronomy? One of the overwhelming themes in scouting is gleaning as much information or knowledge on any particular topic. Like this one is athletics. And as you can see, boys' book of sport, control of body and mind, Circuit 1908, endurance and how to keep fit for Boy Scouts. That's by B.B. Scout himself, Baden Powell. Health and strength, Japanese physical training. That's interesting. Birds and insects, camps and camping, Citizen Bird. Let's see. Rand McNally. That's 1890. Camping and camp outfits. Wow. That goes back. Chivalry and patriotism. Age of Chivalry by Thomas Bulfinch. That's 1884. Boys King Arthur. Famous Scouts. Good citizenship. Wow. Man Without a Country. Page, Esquire, and Knight. Ooh, I bet that's interesting. From 1910. So you tell me what that has to do with teaching children. Let's see. First aid to the injured, American Red Cross. If we've been paying attention to anything, you should know that American Red Cross should bring some questions. Emergencies, fighting a fire. There's fishing and fishing, fish and fishing. Guns, ammunition, and tackle. Water wonders every child should know. Indians and their ways. American Indian. Famous Indian chiefs. Indian fights and fighters. Indian story and song. Story of the Indian. The way of the Indian. Wow. A lot of topics on Indians here. There's also mechanics, electricity, and aeroplanes. Let's see. Boys' Book of Model Aeroplanes. Once again, we're still in the early 1900s here. Electricity for everybody. Harper's Electricity Book for Boys. Home Mechanics for Amateurs. Wow. So why would Boy Scouts need to read the books that are on this list? Reading for Scout Masters. Applied Ideals in Work with Boys. Association Press, 1910. That sounds sus. Boy Life and Self-Government. Boy Problem. Boy Scouts. Boy Scouts of America. Boy Scouts of England. Boy Training. Not sure exactly what that entails. Oh, well, so we're still, let's see. Let's play Indian, making a new American boy through woodcraft. Wow. Organized boyhood. Programs for Scout Masters of Boy Scouts. Scouting, social activities for men and boys, winning the boy. All of this, I'm going to have to go through this list so that I can look at each book to see what exactly they're talking about. Scout craft, aids to scouting. There seems to be just a lot. Scout in war, what he does and how to do it. I mean, why would a scout be in war? And that's what I'm talking about here. Training children in the art of warfare. Like, where did this come in? The Bible talks about if mistreating children and the consequences are for that. So I'm not exactly sure what Baden-Powell and those followers of Freemasonry, what they're teaching their children here. War dance and firefly dance, war games for Boy Scouts. I mean, all of this sounds questionable to me. I think this one is signaling. Let's see. Yeah, signaling, Boy Scout signal cards, history of the flag, of the Naval and Yacht Club signals, seals, and arms. That's interesting. International Code of Signals. There's an International Code of Signals. Wow. Manual of Visual Signaling of the U.S. Signal Corps. Or Corps, sorry. Why would children need to know that? Stories for Boy Scouts. Let's see. Boy Scouts of the Eagle Patrol, Deer Slayer, Forest Runners. Okay, and so some of these books I recognize, like Ivanhoe. Why is that required reading? The Jungle Book, Kidnapped, Kim, Magic Forest, Men of Iron, Scottish Chiefs, the Second Jungle Book, Two Arrows, White Company, Wolf Patrol, Yarns for Boys. Why is this required reading for Boy Scouts? And they still go on about success in life, Book of Golden Deeds, courage, pushing to the front. Whatever exactly that's supposed to mean. Trees and plants, swimming. There's a lot. Woodcraft. Harper's. I wonder if that's the Harper's magazine. But as you can see here, there is a list of required reading for Boy Scouts. So I'm going to look over this list and see if I can grab a few books so that we can kind of go over that in the next video. But as you can see here, that's a pretty big list for Scouts. I will make a list for some of these books and, like I said, see if I can find any info so that we can ask ourselves, why are we teaching our children these types of programs and not the Bible?